The Victorian house at 147 Maple Street had been my dream since I was 8 years old. Every day on my walk to school, I'd pause to admire its elegant turrets, wrap-around porch, and the way morning sunlight caught the stained glass windows. I promised myself that one day, it would be mine. 20 years later, I finally had the keys in my hand. The purchase had drained my savings and required a hefty mortgage, but at 28, I had achieved my childhood dream. My parents, especially my mother, had been less than thrilled. "A house this old will be nothing but trouble, Sofia," she said during the inspection. "And in this neighborhood, your brother Marcus lives in that beautiful new development across town. Why can't you be practical like him?" But I didn't want practical. I wanted history, character, and the feeling of fulfillment every time I walked up those century-old steps. The house needed work, but that was part of the appeal. I spent every spare moment restoring its former glory, carefully balancing my renovation budget with my job as a risk analyst at First Regional Bank. "You're wasting your time and money," Marcus would say during family dinners, barely hiding his smirk. "You should have invested in my business instead. Tech startups are the future, not some old house." I ignored him, focusing instead on bringing my dream home back to life. Room by room, the house transformed. I restored the original hardwood floors, uncovered gorgeous crown molding hidden under layers of paint, and brought the Victorian gardens back from the brink of wilderness. Then came the day that changed everything. It was a quiet Tuesday morning at the bank. I was reviewing loan applications when my colleague James rushed to my desk. His face was pale. "Sofia, you need to see this." He thrust a document into my hands. It just came across my desk for processing. I glanced down and felt my heart stop. It was a sale agreement for 147 Maple Street, my house. But I hadn't sold it. The signatures at the bottom made my blood run cold. Elizabeth and Richard Martinez. My parents. This has to be a mistake," I whispered, but even as the words left my mouth, I remembered the power of attorney I granted them 6 months ago. I'd been traveling overseas for work, and they'd insisted they needed it to handle any emergencies that might arise with the house. "There's more," James said quietly, pulling up another document on his computer. "The funds from the sale are being transferred to New Horizon Tech LLC. He paused. "Isn't that your brother's company?" The room started spinning. New Horizon Tech, Marcus's struggling startup that he'd been trying to fund for months. The startup he'd been pressuring the entire family to invest in. The startup I'd refused to risk my savings on. With trembling hands, I pulled out my phone and called my mother. She answered on the first ring, her voice artificially bright. "Sofia, darling, I was just about to call you. You sold my house." I cut her off, my voice barely controlled. A pause. "Now, Sofia, don't be dramatic. We did what was best for the family. Marcus needed the capital for his company, and you were just wasting money on that old place. It wasn't yours to sell." I was shouting now, drawing concerned looks from my coworkers. "How could you do this to me?" "Done is done," my father's voice came through. He must have been listening on speaker. "The papers are signed. Marcus needs this opportunity more than you need that money pit. You'll thank us when his company takes off and we're all rich." I hung up, my whole body shaking. The sale agreement sat on my desk like a death warrant for my dreams. The buyers were a development company known for tearing down historic homes to build modern condos. My beautiful Victorian would be demolished. I left work early, desperate to get home, to my home that I legally no longer owned. The sunset painted the stained glass windows in brilliant colors as I pulled into the driveway, and for the first time since I was a child, I broke down completely. Hours later, curled up in my window seat with a cold cup of tea, I got the text from Marcus. "Thanks for the investment, sis. Don't worry, I'll buy you a nice condo when we go public." I blocked his number. The next few days passed in a blur. I met with lawyers, but the sale was legal. The power of attorney gave my parents the right to sell. I had trusted them, and they had betrayed that trust in the worst possible way. My mother kept calling, leaving voicemails about family loyalty and the importance of supporting Marcus's dreams. My father sent emails explaining how this was a smart financial decision for everyone. I ignored them all. The final blow came a week later when I received the formal eviction notice. I had 30 days to vacate the premises. That night, I sat in my partially restored living room, surrounded by paint swatches and renovation plans, and made a decision. I would not go quietly. I would not let them destroy my dream without consequences. I pulled out my laptop and began to research. If Marcus needed investors so badly, where was his business plan? What exactly was New Horizon Tech working on? The more I dug, the more red flags I found. His company had no real product, just vague promises about revolutionary AI applications. The business address was a virtual office. His claimed partnerships with major tech firms didn't exist. It was all smoke and mirrors. But my parents had been so eager to help their precious son that they'd stolen my house to fund his scheme. I was still at my laptop at dawn when James called. "Sophia, you need to come to the bank right away. There's something you need to see." I drove to work in a daze, wondering what else could possibly go wrong. James was waiting in the conference room with Mr. Harrison, the bank's CEO, and several board members. "Miss Martinez," Mr. Harrison began, "we've been reviewing your work over the past 3 years, particularly your risk assessment strategies. They're remarkable. In fact, they saved this bank from several potentially disastrous investments." I nodded numbly, unsure where this was going. "We're also aware of your current situation," he continued, sliding a folder across the table, "and we have a proposition for you." I opened the folder and stared at the documents inside. My heart started racing as I realized what I was reading. "The current CEO of our mortgage division is retiring," Mr. Harrison explained. "We want you to take his place." The salary figure on the offer letter made me gasp. It was more money than I'd ever imagined making. But more importantly, as CEO of the mortgage division, I would have oversight of all major loans and foreclosures in our region, including, I realized with dawning comprehension, my parents' mortgage on their own home. The same home they'd refinanced just last year through First Regional Bank. I looked up at Mr. Harrison, a plan already forming in my mind. "When can I start?" He smiled. "House tomorrow?" As I drove home that evening, to the home that would soon be taken from me, I thought about karma, about justice, and about the way life sometimes offers unexpected opportunities for both. My parents thought they had won. Marcus thought he had succeeded. But they had no idea what was coming. My first day as CEO of First Regional Bank's mortgage division started with a complete audit of our highest risk accounts. My team was surprised by my immediate hands-on approach, but they didn't question it. After all, I had a reputation for thoroughness. "Pull everything we have on New Horizon Tech LLC," I instructed my assistant, "and get me the complete file on Richard and Elizabeth Martinez's mortgage." Within hours, I had what I needed. My parents had taken out a second mortgage on their home to help with Marcus's previous failed business venture. They were barely making the payments and their credit was stretched thin. Yet somehow, they thought it was appropriate to sell my house to fund another of his schemes. I was reviewing the documents when my phone buzzed with a text from my mother. "The development company wants to move up the demolition date. You'll need to be out by next week. I'm sure Marcus can help you find an apartment." I deleted the message without responding. The next day, I received an interesting report. New Horizon Tech's business accounts, also held at First Regional, showed some concerning patterns. Large withdrawals were being made to personal accounts, and the company's claimed assets didn't match reality. "Run a complete background check on Marcus Martinez and his business associates," I told our compliance team. "Something doesn't add up." While they worked, I focused on my parents' mortgage. Their recent refinancing application had been rushed through by a junior loan officer who had since left the bank. Looking closer, I found several discrepancies in their income reporting. "Mrs. Martinez," my assistant called through the intercom. "Your brother is here to see you. He says it's urgent." I smiled. "Send him in." Marcus strode into my office like he owned it, his designer suit a sharp contrast to his empty bank account. He stopped short when he saw the view from my window. Well, he smirked, recovering quickly. "Someone's moving up in the world." "Listen, sis, I need a favor. I'm applying for a business loan, and since you're in charge now—" "Sit down, Marcus," I cut him off, my voice cold. "We need to talk about New Horizon Tech's financials." His smile faltered. "What about them?" I pulled out a stack of documents, like why your company's claimed partnerships don't exist, or why investor funds are being channeled into personal accounts, or why your business plan seems to be copied from 3 different failed startups. The color drained from his face. That's not what it looks like. It looks like fraud, Marcus. Securities fraud, wire fraud, and misappropriation of investor funds, including the money from my house. He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. Sofia, come on. We're family. You wouldn't? Family? I laughed. Like you were family when you convinced our parents to steal my house. Like you were family when you mocked my dreams. That house was a waste of money, he snapped. My company is the future. Your company is a scam, I replied calmly. And as of this moment, your accounts are frozen pending investigation. He jumped up, knocking over his chair. You can't do this. I already have. Security will escort you out. Oh, and Marcus, I forwarded all my findings to the SEC. As he was led away, shouting threats, I turned my attention back to my parents' mortgage file. Within an hour, I had what I needed, proof that they had materially misrepresented their income on their refinancing application. I picked up my phone and dialed a number I hadn't called in weeks. Mom, Dad, we need to meet. Now. They arrived at my office looking nervous but still somehow superior. My mother was wearing her best disappointed parent expression. Sofia, this behavior has to stop, she began. First you freeze your brother's accounts and now. Sit down, I interrupted, pointing to the chairs across from my desk. Let's discuss your mortgage. My father's face tightened. What about it? I spread the documents between us. You lied on your refinancing application. Your stated income was inflated by over 40%. That's mortgage fraud. We had to, my mother stuttered. The bank wouldn't have approved it otherwise. We needed the money for Marcus. And now you need to listen carefully, I cut in. The development company buying my house. I've had their accounts investigated too. Turns out they have some irregularities of their own. The sale has been suspended pending review. My father stood up, his face red. You can't do this. I can, and I have. But we're not done. I pulled out another document. This is a new payment schedule for your mortgage. As you can see, your monthly payments have increased significantly to make up for the fraudulent application. We can't afford this, my mother gasped. Then I suggest you sell your house. Legally this time, your own house, not mine. They stared at me in shocked silence. Oh, and one more thing. I handed them an envelope. This is a restraining order. You are not to come within 100 feet of my property. Yes, my property. The house on Maple Street is mine again, and it's staying that way. Sofia, please, my mother whispered. We're your parents. No, I replied softly. You're mortgage fraudsters who stole from their daughter. And now you're facing the consequences. After they left, I stood by my window, watching the sunset paint the city in shades of gold. My phone buzzed with a message from the family group chat I hadn't yet left. How could you do this to your own family? Marcus is facing criminal charges. Mom and Dad might lose their house. You're heartless. I typed a simple reply. No, I'm just the CEO of the bank holding your mortgage. Karma works in mysterious ways. Then I blocked them all. 3 months later, I stood on the porch of my Victorian house, my fully restored, legally mine again house, sipping morning coffee. My parents had indeed sold their home, downsizing to a small condo. Marcus was facing federal charges for fraud. The family that had once mocked my dreams was now avoiding me completely. But the house was more beautiful than ever. I'd hired the best craftsmen to finish the renovations, restoring every detail to its original glory. The stained glass windows sparkled in the morning light, just like they had when I was 8 years old. The gardens were in full bloom, and the wraparound porch was finally the perfect place for my morning coffee. James, now my fiancé, joined me on the porch. Any regrets? He asked, wrapping an arm around my waist. I looked out at my dream home, then down at my engagement ring, a vintage piece that perfectly matched the house's Victorian charm. Not one, I smiled. Sometimes life has a way of making things right. And it had. My childhood dream hadn't just survived my family's betrayal, it had led me to a position of power I never expected, a love I never anticipated, and a sense of justice I never thought possible. The house at 147 Maple Street stood proud and tall, its turrets reaching toward the sky, its gardens blooming with new life. It was more than just a house now. It was a testament to perseverance, a monument to justice and proof that sometimes when people try to steal your dreams, fate has other plans. Later that evening, as I sat in my restored library, I received one final email from my mother. "We're still family, Sofia. Despite everything, family forgives." I clicked delete without replying. Some things like trust and respect, once broken, can never be fully restored. Like the house I'd saved, I had been renovated by this experience, stronger, more resilient, and no longer willing to let anyone else determine my worth. The Victorian house at 147 Maple Street had been my dream since I was 8 years old. Now it was my reality, my victory, and my happily ever after. Sometimes karma doesn't just work in mysterious ways, it works in perfect ways.